Now, preview this coming weekend's UFC 277 Peña versus Nunes. It's going down Saturday night, July 30th at the American Airlines Center in Dallas, Texas. Big D. All right, boys, let us work our way up this card. We're not going to preview every single one of the fights on this card, but it's a very good card. Let us begin in the lightweight division with Drakkar Klose taking on Rafa Garcia. Gifted Rafa Garcia. I love that little nickname. Okay, we have Drakkar Klose, 34-year-old from my now home state of Michigan. He's from South Haven. Oh, shit, he's from South Haven. Wow, that's so close to me. He's 12-2 as a pro. 12-2, one draw. Most recently, coming off of a win against Brandon Jenkins. Jenkins. Then you have Rafa Gifted Garcia from Baja, California, Mexico. Let's see, coming off of back-to-back wins against Natan Levy and Jesse Ronson. Let's see, 13-2 as a pro. These guys are pretty evenly matched. Mark, what's your take, and give us a pick?
All right, so Klose is the favorite here. He's minus 230. Rafa Garcia is plus 180. I got to say, it sucks that Diego Ferreira fell out of this fight. I was very excited to see Klose and Ferreira in there. But Garcia should be an exciting replacement. Obviously, jumping in on short notice, he is skilled, but I think Klose is just a tough matchup for him. I think Klose can wrestle if need be, and that he may not even need to, because I think he may just be able to pressure and kind of overwhelm Garcia and get him off his game that way. I think he's just a level above where Rafa Garcia is at right now, and I will say that he wins a clear UD.
Omar?
I would have to agree. I think Drakkar Klose is just a level above Garcia at this point. One would argue he was winning that fight with Dariush up until the point where he wasn't. I don't. If this was his first fight back after that whole Jeremy Stevens neck disc thing, whatever happened there, I would be a little bit more hesitant on where to go with this fight. But he looked good in his last fight a couple months ago. So I'm gonna go with Drakkar Klose as well. I'm actually going to go with the second round KO.
I like Drakkar Klose. I think he's going to have the edge in power, and I think he's going to have the ability to keep Rafa Garcia from taking him down and submitting him, which is Garcia's strong suit here. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Drakkar Klose. I'm going to go with third round TKO.
Nice. Three different finishes.
Okay, boys. Let's look at the lightweight division matchup between Drew Dober and Rafael Alves. So, Drew Dober, one of my favorite fighters, to be quite honest. 33-year-old from Omaha, Nebraska, 24-11 as a pro with 11 knockouts, 6 submissions. Dober's coming off of that very exciting first-round finish over the up-and-comer Terrence McKinney. Then you have Rafael Alves. His nickname is The Turn, which is interesting. Of course, from Brazil, he's 20-10 as a pro, coming off of a guillotine choke win over Mark Jacasey. Omar, let me throw it over to you first this time. What's your take between Dober and Alves?
Well, so the Terrence McKinney fight, I think, was interesting because, Dober got lit up a little bit in that fight and had to go through some adversity very, very early in that fight, and then was able to push through and come back and essentially handle Terrence McKinney for the second half of that round and fight, essentially. I think that he has the chin to also kind of do the same in the event he gets caught with something here, because Alves is definitely somebody who can tag you up if he has to. But I think Drew Dober, the experience, I think will play in Drew Dober's favor, but I also think Drew Dober has enough of a chin and has enough willpower and some calm in there to kind of keep his wits about him if he ever does get into a bit of a firefight. Skill for skill, I think Drew Dober is also a little bit more well-rounded. I think his ground game is good enough that he won't get abused on the ground by a jiu-jitsu guy. So I'm going to go with Drew Dober here. I'm going to go with Drew Dober by decision.
Mark?
Similar odds to the last one. Dober's the favorite at minus 220. Alves is the plus 180 dog. Alves is super dangerous, and this could even look similar to the craziness that Dober went through against McKinney, because Alves is probably going to come out like a whirlwind. He looks to lock up that guillotine at all times. He looks for it right away. It's how he won a Contender Series. It's how he took out Casey. I just don't know if I see Drew Dober getting caught in one. And frankly, that's what I think this fight comes down to. It's, do I think Dober is going to get hurt early in some type of blitz or guillotined early or not? And I think I'm going to say not. I'll say that if he can survive that round one against McKinney the way he did, it's hard for me to say that he can't survive it here. So I will say that maybe he loses that round just because of how hot Alves comes out. But either way, he toughs it out, takes the fight over, wins at least the last 2 rounds, and wins a UD. And there is a massive housefly on my screen.
Is there? I cannot see it. I also like Drew Dober by decision here. I have a similar take to Mark. I think that this is going to be a back-and-forth fight. I think this might be a close fight, but I think that Drew Dober is going to be very durable. I do not think that Rafael Alves is going to find a guillotine. Have you seen Drew Dober's neck, Mark? I haven't. The boy does not have
I was going
to
to say, I don't think anybody's seen Drew Dober's neck in quite some time.
That being said, yeah, I think it's going to be a back-and-forth fight. I think Drew Dober is going to win more of the exchanges and land the more consequential blows. And I think he's going to take the fight by unanimous decision. America. Okay. In the welterweight division, we have Alex the Great White Morono, Houston, Texas. So he is the Texas hometown boy in this fight, taking on Matthew Semmelsberger. Morono, highest profile fight is when he stepped in to face Donald Cowboy Cerrone back in May of 2021. He's won 3 straight between Cerrone, David Zawada, and Mickey Gall, most recently last December. Morono's got a nice little record, 21-7, and 1 no contest. Semmelsberger, Semi the Jedi from Maryland, 10-3 as a pro, so he's a little bit more of an up-and-comer, 29 years old, coming off of back-to-back wins, most recently against A.J. Fletcher by UD back in March. Mark, why don't you go first this time? Give us your assessment of Semmelsberger versus Morono and ultimately your pick.
So Semmelsberger is favored here. I wasn't sure what these odds were going to look like, but he is minus 165 and Morono is plus 135. So fairly close. Morono thus far has shown to be he's earned a higher, ranking than Semmelsberger has in the UFC. He's proven more. But Semmelsberger has shown a lot of signs. First off, he's 2 inches taller than Morono. He's got a 3-inch reach advantage. He has a lot of power. He can wrestle. He's shown that he's tough. He hung in there with Chaos Williams for 3 rounds. And in his 4 wins, he's ended 2 of them in about 10 seconds by knockout. So the man's power cannot be slept on. And as much as I like what I've seen from Morono a lot lately, I just feel like there's a lot of checks in that corner of Matt Semmelsberger right now. And it's hard for me not to go with him. I'm going to say maybe Morono is controlling things for a bit, and something explosive happens. He gets caught with something, tide turns, and I will say that we're out of there by round 2, KO for Matt Semmelsberger.
Omar, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a little bit more trust in Morono's chin and his durability. The thing that I find fascinating about Morono is, if you look at him, he is one of the most unassuming human beings.
Yep.
Like, you would never think that dude is in the UFC, and he fights pretty damn well, right? I don't think he's the flashiest fighter or anything like that, but his fundamentals are solid, and he's effective when he needs to be, and I definitely think he knows how to win some fights. He's on a nice little streak right now, which has got to be great for his confidence. Semmelsberger is solid as well, but for me, at least, there just seems to be something lacking in there, at least from, I don't even know from what perspective, whether it's the experience, the people that he's fought. We talked about one of the high-profile guys for Alex Morono being Donald Cerrone, but he also fought Anthony Pettis. He didn't beat the shit out of Donald Cerrone until he lost Anthony Pettis, and who knows if that did change something for him, if he was able to pick certain things up, learn lessons, whatever the case is. But some of those experiences are going to play a factor in his fights leading down the line, and so I think Morono is going to walk away with this. I think he can get 2 rounds out of Semelsberger. I'll go with Morono by decision.
Morono by decision. Tough one. I think in his last fight with AJ Fletcher, I think Semelsberger really showed out that he can really crack. I like his power difference. I think he's going to have the more consequential power there. I'm going to go with Semelsberger by TKO. Let's go round 2. All right, light heavyweight boys, getting up into some high-profile fights now.
Yeah.
In the light heavyweight division, we have Magomed Ankalaev taking on Anthony Lionheart Smith. This is going to be a very good fight. We have Ankalaev, the Dagestani, 16-1 as a pro. He's 30 years old, 6'3". No submission victories, but 8 knockouts on his record. Knockout victories, that is. Only 1 career loss. Bear that in mind. And I believe it was I don't have his entire record pulled up in front of me, but I believe it was
his loss
a minute ago.
It was Paul Craig.
Oh, that's right.
Paul Craig tapped him with,
That's right.
I think, literally 1 second left, or 2 or 3 seconds left in the fight after getting dominated for the entire thing. Yeah.
Yeah, round 3, 4:59.
Literally had lost every second of the fight until that triangle.
Yep.
That was back in that was 4 years ago?
Maybe that sounds about right.
Yep. 2018, yeah.
There you go.
Okay. There you go. Okay. Well, Ankalaev, he's carrying quite the win streak, and he's taking on Anthony Lionheart Smith, fan favorite. Anthony Smith, I think, is an unsung fighter at 205. The guy has fought pretty much a who's who at light heavyweight. He's riding a 3-fight win streak coming into Saturday night against Devin Clark, Jimmy Crute, and most recently submitting Ryan Spann with a rear naked choke. Anthony Smith is 36-16 as a professional. My goodness, what a record. Okay, enough of me talking. Omar, take it. What's your assessment and your pick?
I gotta be honest, man. This is a very, very difficult fight for me to pick. Both of these guys are extremely well-rounded. They both have moments in different aspects of the fight. If this stays standing, this could very well be a very competitive kickboxing match. I don't think one guy is significantly better than the other when it comes to that portion of the fight. If this fight goes to the ground, it's very possible Ankalaev might have a little bit of an advantage, but let's be real. Anthony Smith is not a slouch on the ground. If there's any, if there's any criticism to his ground game, is that sometimes he gets a little too complacent when he's on his back. Doesn't always necessarily find or have the urgency to get his ass up off the floor. But this fight is just very, very close in terms of skill. Having to pick one with a gun to my head, I think I'm going to go with Ankalaev by decision.
Okay, Mark, take it.
You ready for these ridiculous odds? Magomed Ankalaev is minus 500. And Anthony Smith...
What in the whole hell?
The disrespect.
Right?
Proves my point.
Anthony Smith is plus 375. I thought it was maybe going to be 2-1, maybe minus 250 at maximum. Double that.
I actually thought it would be closer to even money. I thought we'd be looking at plus 110, minus 100, something like that. But
minus 500.
That's crazy.
Crazy. I'm literally just going to bet on Smith for the hell of it.
Right?
Plus 375. Basically 4-1 odds. You could probably find him at plus 400 somewhere.
That's wild.
And I do think this is a close fight. And I really, really would love to tell you why I think Anthony Smith is going to win. I want to pick it. I'm just struggling to find something to hang my hat on to allow me to make that pick. We know Smith can wrestle. I don't think he can wrestle quite as good as Ankalaev. We know Smith can strike. I don't think he can strike quite as good as Ankalaev. Obviously, Smith can snatch a sub, maybe more dangerously than Ankalaev can, but Ankalaev can grapple just fine, too. I don't know if I see him getting caught in something. I just think Ankalaev is slightly better everywhere the fight takes place. I do think it's a close fight. I think Smith is in it. Obviously, he's a dog. We know that. I actually think that I think Smith's best chance would maybe be to just come out balls to the wall and pressure nonstop from jump, because Ankalaev really likes to be able to kind of set the tone and set the pace and work his way into what he wants to be doing. And I think to just be swarmed by Smith out of the gate could possibly throw him off his game. I don't think that is what we see from Smith, though. And I also think Smith, as good as he is, has shown sometimes that when he meets physical resistance where a guy just happens to be significantly stronger than him or more of an athlete than him, that he sometimes struggles in that regard. And I think Ankalaev kind of fits that bill, especially in the strength department. So I'll say it's close, but I will say that Ankalaev wins at least 2 of these rounds, and I will say it's likely 29-28 UD for Magomed Ankalaev.
Omar, take it.
He took it, didn't he?
I did take it. Yeah, I'm
my
bad.
God damn it,
Honestly,
I hate
for a
when I do
minute, I was going to change my pick, but I'm going to stick. I'm going to stick with Ankalaev decision.
No, sorry.
Mike, you going with the dog?
Sorry. Fuck yeah, I'm going with dog. I just said that he's fucking unsung at 205. How could I not go with him now?
How does he do it?
Oh, that's the tough part of the pick, because Ankalaev doesn't lose. I'll say he's gonna. I say he's gonna. It's 3 rounds. So I'm gonna say he's gonna win on the scorecards, 29-28.
All right.
That's it.
I would love
That's
it.
the pick.
I would love it.
So would I.
I got to say, this card, as much as it's like not the most hyped card in the world, and it's maybe not the deepest, the undercard's not crazy or anything, every fight on this main card is top 10 fighters. Every single fighter on the whole main card is in the top 10. So it's, as much as it's not like the biggest card ever, it's a solid main card.
Okay, down in the flyweight division, Alexandre Pantoja, the Cannibal, taking on Alex Perez from California. Pantoja, needing no introduction to fans of the flyweight division, coming off of back-to-back wins against Manel Kape and my guy, Brandon Royval. Alex Perez, the Californian, is 30 years old, 24-6 as a pro. Most recently challenged for the title against Davison Figueiredo back in November of 2020. Taking a little bit of a break. Do we know why? Do you guys know why he's been away so long?
He's had multiple fights scratched for different reasons. I think one was him and 2 were opponents or something along those lines.
So since that losing title challenge effort, Perez has taken some time off and he's stepping back in the cage this Saturday night against a very tough opponent in Alexandre Pantoja. Mark, go first.
You got me thinking now. I'm looking it up. Oh, my God, he's had so many. Wow. Canceled against Schnell, canceled against Askarov, canceled against Schnell, canceled against Schnell, canceled against Schnell, canceled against Askarov. Wait, what? Him and Schnell got canceled. Some of these cancels must mean, like, move to a different card. But even still, that's wild. All right, I'm going to have to look closer at that in a minute. But as for the fight pick, Pantoja's the favorite here. He's minus 170. Alex Perez is plus 140. I really believe in the level of talent that Alexandre Pantoja is. Even his losses have been decisions. He's not an easy out for anyone. He beat Brandon Moreno twice, if we're counting tough. He beat Kai Kara-France on tough. Granted, not quite the same Kai Kara-France we have now, but still. He beat Manel Kape, who I love. He just choked out Brandon Royval. Like, the guy is very good. Speaking of guys who are underrated, like Anthony Smith, I think Pantoja kind of fits that bill. I just think he's really high level and that he is a level above Alex Perez. Perez is an athlete. He has power. He has great calf kicks. He's got nice hand speed. Like, he's a factor. And I think he probably does steal a round simply because of those things. But I think overall Pantoja figures him out. Not to mention, yeah, Pantoja hasn't fought in a year. But as we just said, Alex Perez hasn't fought in almost 2 years now. It's a long freaking time away from the cage. I'm going to say Pantoja figures him out. ends up taking 2 of the rounds pretty clearly and wins a UD.
Omar.
Yeah, I also hold Pantoja to a pretty high regard. To me, he's going to be one of the perennial contenders in that division until he decides to leave, or I guess move to another division if he wants to at some point. But I think he's extremely dangerous, and I think Alex Perez kind of getting sunned by Davison Figueiredo, to me, just sort of set the tone for where he's at from a level perspective. I would probably pick Alex Perez against most guys within that top 15. But once we start getting into the nitty-gritty of the very tippity top of that division, it's very difficult for me to pick Alex Perez because I just don't think he has that thing that sets him apart from a lot of these other fighters. Figueiredo definitely has it. Moreno definitely has it. And I also think Pantoja definitely has it. One could argue that Pantoja should have gotten a title fight a long-ass time ago, much sooner than he's getting now. We don't need to hash that out. The reality is Pantoja is elite. I think he's been elite. I think he's going to stay elite for quite some time. And I think his skills will definitely translate very well once we see him inside there against Perez. I think we'll see the level above that he's at once that fight happens. So I'm going to go with Pantoja. I do think he finishes him. I do think there's another submission in the works for Pantoja. So I'm going to go with a second round submission.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Perez is coming off of this, time away against, the very, very top of the division still, and he's going to run into the brick wall that I think is Alexandre Pantoja. Pantoja has a nice finish rate with 8 knockouts and 9 submissions, so I see Pantoja finishing Perez. I'm going to go with a second round finish.
Sub or TKO?
I'll say club and sub.
Like it. So I got the reasons here if we're curious. First fight he was booked against Schnell, he withdrew. Doesn't say why. That was in May of 2021. Then in July of 2021, he was booked against Askarov. Askarov got hurt. Then in September of 2021, he was supposed to fight Schnell, but they moved it back to December for whatever reason. Then when they got there, Schnell withdrew from the fight due to medical concerns. Then in February, he was supposed to fight Schnell for a third time. Perez missed weight, and Schnell elected not to fight him when he missed the weight. And then in July, he was supposed to be fighting Askarov. Askarov withdrew, and he got put into this Pantoja fight. He was supposed to be fighting Askarov 2 weeks ago. So I did not realize that. I wonder when that withdrawal happened. I feel like it was a while ago because I feel like we've known about this Pantoja booking for a bit. But yeah, that's how 2 years happens.
Yeah,
shit is crazy.
Okay, moving up to the heavyweights now with the king of the knockouts, Derek Lewis, taking on Sergei Pavlovich. What a fight between two giants.
Yeah.
Derek Lewis, like I said, the king of the knockouts. I believe he still holds the record at this point for most knockouts total in UFC history. 37-year-old from Houston, Texas. So he's going to be the hometown Texas boy in Big D in Dallas this Saturday night. 26-9 as a pro. 21 knockouts with 1 submission victory. Sergei Pavlovich, the 30-year-old Russian, of course, coming in with 15-1 as a pro. My goodness, that is also quite a record. He will be riding a 3-fight win streak coming into this Saturday night. Mark, let me start with you. What's your take on Pavlovich taking on the Black Beast?
All right, we got a near pick'em here. Pavlovich is actually favored. He is minus 125. Derek Lewis is plus 105, so almost even money on Derek Lewis.
Yeah.
This is a hard fight to pick, man. And I think I'm going to go away that I can't believe I'm going to go. Sergei Pavlovich is an absolute giant monster human. They're the same height, but the man has a frame of a cyborg, and he's going to have a 5-inch reach advantage on Derek Lewis, which is something that doesn't make me feel great. Pavlovich is also the more polished striker. Lewis, obviously, we know he's more of the brawler. He likes to close the distance, see if he can land something big on you, and of course, we know it only takes one. So it is very possible that he makes me look dumb here, and I feel bad for not picking Derek Lewis because I always pick Derek Lewis. But I'm going to go with Sergei Pavlovich. I think he's looked great. I think Derek Lewis is finally starting to show some signs of maybe going the other way. I didn't love how he looked in there against Tai Tuivasa. He is 37 years old now. He's been in a lot of wars. It's possible that we're kind of moving to the other side here with Derek Lewis, and hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm jumping the gun. But we know his chin can be cracked. We've seen it multiple times. As much as he is a knockout artist, he can be hurt. And unfortunately, I think that's what we see here. I'm going to say Pavlovich, the range plays a factor, and he knocks him out in round 1.
Omar.
Yeah, I would agree with Mark. I think to be even more specific than, his chin is crackable, he doesn't like getting hit. And so even if he's not, getting put out like Tai Tuivasa did to him and kind of shutting off his body, we've seen Derek Lewis get hit with shots, and Derek Lewis, will turn around and curl up and be like, "Nah, I don't want this anymore. This wasn't cool. I didn't like the way that felt." And I think Sergei Pavlovich has numerous ways to make that reaction happen. And I do agree that it's going to happen early, and I do agree I think it'll look terrible. Like I think Pavlovich is really going to put it on Derek Lewis in that first round. I would love Derek Lewis to win. I will be rooting for Derek Lewis to win. Let's be 100% clear about that.
Oh yeah.
I just do not think he will win. So I am going to go with Pavlovich by first round KO. TKO. I don't think he's going to put him out, but I do think he's going to make him curl up and essentially not want to fight anymore.
Boys, we are unanimous.
Oh, man. Makes it hurt even more.
I know. I
wanted one of us to be the good guy.
Even though online Derek Lewis is listed at about 10 pounds heavier than Pavlovich, at this weight that doesn't matter. Yeah, I agree. I think Pavlovich is just a giant, statue of a human, and has the abilities to go toe-to-toe with Derek Lewis, which not many other heavyweights do, really. Man, Pavlovich is scary good. His record shows that he's 15-1 with an amazing finish rate of his own, 12 knockouts of the 15 wins. So I also will go with Pavlovich. And once again, I will say second round TKO. It will not be a knockout. I agree with Omar. I think he's going to stun him, and I think we're going to see Derek Lewis turtle up, and Pavlovich is going to get the stoppage.
Yeah.
Okay, co-main event time. This is going to be an amazing fight in the flyweight division between Brandon, the Assassin Baby Moreno, versus Kai, Don't Blink, Kara France. Wait, Kara France is his last name, or Kai Kara is his first name?
Kai is his first name. Kara France is his last name.
Kara France.
That's what I thought. Because we have talked about this in the past.
Yes.
That's the only reason why it tripped me up. I was like, wait, we've talked about this. Okay, good. Brandon Moreno, former UFC flyweight champion, was recently unseated by Davison Figueiredo. They have been trading that belt back and forth a little bit. Moreno, 28 years old, 19-6 as a pro with 2 draws, 3 knockouts, 11 subs on his record. Most recently, of course, that losing his belt again to Figueiredo back in January of this year. Kai Kara France from New Zealand, the Kiwi, 29 years old. 29 years old, I was going to say as well, but no, Moreno's 28. 24-9 as a pro, won no contest. Coming into Saturday night, riding a 3-fight win streak, most recently defeating Askar Askarov by unanimous decision. Okay, Omar, I'll start with you this time. Give us your assessment of Kara France versus Moreno, and ultimately your pick.
I'm glad Omar's going first. I needed to hear him first on this.
I love this fight personally. I love both guys. If this was anybody else, I'd be picking Kai Kara France, without hesitation. The reality is Brandon Moreno is my boy, so that is what it is. It could be Brandon Moreno versus a dragon. I'm still fucking picking Brandon Moreno. Okay, so that's just how life works.
Okay.
Brandon Moreno is the second half of the pandemic trilogy that was the Davidson Figueiredo fights. And in my opinion, he won that last fight. I do not think Davidson Figueiredo won that fight on the scorecards. I thought that Moreno did. Regardless, I think that Brandon Moreno has definitely shown improvements, leaps and bounds over what he was in Tough the last time that Carl Franz and him fought. I don't even think is a factor from both sides of the equation, frankly. So I think this will be a very new fight as far as that's concerned. I still really like Moreno, though. I think the kid's submission game, I think, is very slick, especially when he gets the opportunity to really use it, especially his ground control in general. His striking has only improved. His use of his jab, I think, has been fantastic over the last few fights. I'm going to go with Brandon Moreno. I don't think that either one of these guys will finish each other. They're both very, very durable and very, very tough. It's very possible they will both piece each other up. We might see a lot of scrapes, bruises, black eyes, hematomas, all that kind of shit. But I don't think anybody's going to go out in this fight. So I'm going to go with Moreno by a grueling decision.
Okay, Mark, you're up.
I just want to say they didn't see each other on that Tough season, Omar, because Moreno got eliminated right away by Pantoja.
It was Pantoja's record I was looking at. It was Pantoja's record I was looking at.
Yeah,
that's right.
But they have fought.
He fought
he
fought
UFC.
Moreno. He fought Moreno, and he fought.
Correct. Pantoja did. Yes.
Yeah.
But these two have fought in the UFC. They fought
Right.
back in 2019, and Moreno got the UD. So this is actually Moreno Carl Franz 2 that we have here. Moreno is a 2-1 favorite. He's minus 210. Carl Franz is plus 170. I love Kai. I'm so high on him coming off that tough win over Askarov, especially because I picked it. Felt smart. Honestly, I was proud of the guy for coming through with that win. That was a tough matchup, and he got it done. He fought it perfectly, honestly.
Yes.
But as high as I am on him, I just still feel like Brandon Moreno and Davidson Figueiredo are at a different level than the rest of the division is at. And I can't pick Carl Franz to beat Brandon Moreno. Carl Franz is not going to have the reach advantage that he usually does in this division. Moreno's is actually 1 inch longer than his, so that's a factor. Moreno's taller than him by 3 inches, so that'll help Moreno with the kicks, which I am sure he will be throwing. He's getting better and better with his kicks each fight. They'll be a factor here. I think Kai, of course, packs a lot of power, but Brandon is not someone I see getting knocked out. He's never even been finished. I don't think that starts here. The guy can take a punch. He's got a great chin. He slips punches really well, kind of rolls with them really well. I love Moreno's volume. I love his pressure. I think those are both a factor here. I think he mixes in at least some takedowns, maybe not necessarily to wrestle. Maybe he does. He absolutely could. But at least just to kind of create some scrambles, to throw off any rhythm that Carl Franz is trying to set himself into, to time big shots. I think Moreno can just kind of control it. I do think Kai has gotten good. And remember, their first fight was really close. It's not like it wasn't.
Yep.
It was a close-ass fight. I think Kai's gotten better, but I think Brandon has also gotten better. I think Kai's good enough that he'll take at least a round, if not two. But I also think there'll be portions of the fight where it looks like he doesn't have answers for what Moreno is doing in those moments, and I think Moreno takes at least 3 of the rounds for a clear UD.
Oh, I'm going to hate to see either one of these guys lose. I love both of these flyweights right here. And this is a tough fight for me to pick, to be quite honest. Skill for skill, strike for strike. I think both these guys are great. I'm going to give a slight edge to Moreno in experience, with his championship experience at this point, which is, he's been in there with Figueiredo 3 times in a row. And a guy like Figueiredo, with the stakes of those fights, I'll go with Moreno. I'm going to just say, I have no idea. This fight is super tough for me to pick. I'll say Moreno by UD and just see what happens.
Omar, did you also say decision? I forget what you said.
I did.
Yeah.
I don't think either one of these guys are going to be able to take each other out. Even if I was picking Carl Franz, it wouldn't have been a finish.
Yeah. Agree.
Okay. It is main event time, gentlemen. UFC 277. We have Juliana, the Venezuelan vixen Peña, taking on the giant killer, the legend killer, Amanda Nunes. Juliana Peña, 32 years old, from Spokane, Washington, 11-4 as a pro, coming off of that incredible storybook victory over the great Amanda Nunes, in which she finished her. She utilized that amazing stiff jab the whole fight, ended up accumulating damage on Nunes, got her rocked, and finished her with I believe, a rear naked choke that wasn't even mounted. She was, I think, on the side of Nunes, but Nunes was so beat up and so gassed that she tapped.
Yeah.
No.
One would argue that choke wasn't even in all the way, but we're not going to do that to a man.
One would argue,
Yeah,
but
sure.
not Omar.
One would argue. So that's Peña. She's 11-4 as a pro overall. Amazing. Women's bantamweight champion. She's 11-4 as a pro. You can do anything, man, in this world. You can do anything. Right? That's just a small record.
Yep.
Amanda Nunes needing no introduction. Of course, the lioness from Brazil. She's 21-5 as a pro, 34-year-old, coming off of that loss to Peña. But before that, one of the most legendary runs in the sport, man, starting with a stinging victory over Misha Tate, and then taking Ronda Rousey's soul, going on, beating Shevchenko, Pennington, Justino. She TKO'd Holly Holm. She beat Jermaine Durandamy, Felicia Spencer, Megan Anderson. Nobody's touching her belt until Juliana Peña. Mark, let me start with you this time. What's your assessment of this main event rematch between Juliana Peña and Amanda?
I'm so interested to see what the line is for this fight, because
Take a guess.
really quick before we go into it, I know what happened in this fight, right? We all saw it. We all saw what happened. I still don't believe that it happened, but like I saw it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so I wonder if the line is going to reflect the same thought process I'm going through, because if it does, then Amanda's still going to be like minus 350 or minus 400 or something crazy.
Yeah, that's my guess.
Amanda's
still
and then
the favorite.
Juliana is going to be like plus
200.
I don't know, 210. Yeah, like 210.
You guys are very close. Very close. Amanda is minus 285. Juliana is plus 225.
Okay, that's a lot shorter for Amanda than I thought it was going to be. So there's at least some reservations now.
Very close though. Yeah, man, I had a harder time with this one than I thought I would have, and it's because we saw Juliana Peña break Amanda Nunes in their last fight. Like, there's no question that is what we saw. She broke her. And there's a big mental advantage that comes with doing that for Juliana Peña, and a big mental hurdle for Nunes from having that happen to you. So just off that reason, it's tempting for me to pick Juliana Peña again, but my brain is telling me otherwise. I do think Nunes appears somewhat surprisingly unfazed from what I could tell from watching Tough. She really did not seem like Peña was in her head in any kind of way. She almost struck me as being fully expectant that, like, almost like I just fucked up and I'm going to get this belt back, which I thought was good to see. I didn't know if it was going to be like that she was a little bit mentally off from having lost to Peña. I don't know if Omar will have a different take. We'll find out in a minute. But I know that Amanda Nunes is significantly better than what she showed in that first fight with Juliana Peña. I don't know what that was. I know that Juliana played it perfect. I know that Juliana can eat shots, which is a factor against Amanda, because if you don't go away, maybe she starts to tire. I know Juliana's grappling is there. She can survive on the mat, and that she's so tough and all that, and that's why she's a difficult matchup for Amanda. But all that aside, I didn't think that the Amanda that fought her in the first fight resembled the Amanda that we have become accustomed to seeing in prior fights. Even just specifically her cardio. It had not been an issue, and suddenly it's a glaring issue again. So I just think that was a bad version of Amanda. She says she had a knee issue that she tried to fight through. I know she was also coming off COVID that was not terribly long before that. So who knows what factored into it all. Remember, they had to delay the fight because Amanda had COVID. But I just think that the Amanda here will appear to be a level above the Amanda that was in the first fight. And I think that level is the difference between getting tired and losing and not getting tired and winning. And I'm going to say that Amanda just looks sharper. She's more prepared for what Peña's strengths are and the problems that Peña can present. I think her cardio looks better, and I'm going to say she fights a smarter fight, accumulates big shots as the fight goes on, and finishes it in round 4 via TKO to become the double champ once again.
My, oh my. All right, Omar, give us your take and your pick.
So, really quick, just in response to the tough thing, I don't think that at least Juliana has shown some skill in talking shit in the past. More along the lines of, I'm just speaking the truth kind of talking shit, right? And I truly believe that Juliana believes the stuff that she says, right? When she says that she believes that she could outpace Amanda, she can take Amanda down, she can beat Amanda and all this other stuff, I believe that she believes that wholeheartedly inside. When Amanda says things like, last time was a fluke, things happened, and all this other stuff, it comes off to me like she's trying to convince herself, and not me, that first fight was a fluke.
Agree.
There wasn't a ton of trash talking in Tough.
No, shockingly small amounts.
It seemed, and again, it seemed more like Amanda trying to bait Juliana, trying to start some sort of mental game with Juliana, trying to put in her head probably the same doubts that Amanda went into in that first fight. Potentially the same type of doubts that she's going into with the second fight. Juliana seems unfazed. Juliana's determination and her belief in herself very well might play a factor in how this second fight turns out, because while Amanda might still be trying to figure out what the hell happened in that first fight, Juliana's just basically telling herself that's exactly what I said was going to happen, so I'm not really concerned about it. That went according to plan. Amanda Nunes, not so much. I think Amanda Nunes is the one that has a lot of space to catch up to. I think Amanda Nunes has more hype and I don't want to say responsibility because that's not really the word, but definitely expectations on her shoulder in regards to what should, quote unquote, be happening in this fight. Juliana, I think, is still sitting pretty in a very powerful position. She's got the belt. People still don't really expect her to win against Amanda again. And she could do it in an even more devastating fashion, or in technically an even more dominant fashion by beating her 50-45. Very possible that it could happen at this point. I'm interested to see what happens. If I have to take a pick, as much as I want to take Amanda for all the reasons that Mark said, there is something about self-belief that really fucks people. And I'm going to go with Juliana Peña by life-ruining decision.
Wow. Son of a bitch. Okay.
Mike is struggling.
No, I'm not struggling. I'm saying enough. This is going to be Amanda Nunes' fight. This is the woman who put all the naysayers to, what's the word I'm going to try to say? It's fucking late. I don't know. She killed Ronda Rousey. She killed Cyborg. This woman has a iron will here, okay? She's going to come back in this fight. She's going to knock out Juliana Peña. I'm taking Amanda Nunes by knockout or TKO. I'm going to go round number 2. I think she's going to have Peña in big trouble towards the end of the first round. Peña's going to survive, but but then it's going to be night in round number 2. Okay, that's it.
I have to respectfully disagree with she has an iron will.
Come on, man.
No, I disagree wholeheartedly. I would agree that she has iron hands. That woman relies on those hands and knows how much damage she's delivering to these women when she throws it. And that's where all her confidence comes into. Juliana's face, her whole face, when she was messed up in that fight, you got to be wondering how much of that really affected Amanda, that she's thrown everything in the kitchen sink at her in the first round, and Juliana's still coming at her, throwing shots. And I think it broke her. Like Mark said, I think it broke her.
Maybe.
Iron will, that woman does not have. Between the two of them, Juliana Peña has a titanium will. That woman is on a different level when it comes to the will and determination. It's not even a competition. Amanda Nunes has the physicality and the tools to beat Peña. But if we're talking about grit for grit, I take Peña every time.
Okay. We'll see Saturday night.
We'll
see Saturday night.
I'm gonna text you. I'm gonna text you as it's going down.
I'm just so happy we're getting a card that's actually at night. These daytime cards are freaking killing me.
Poor Mark's in the park with his ESPN Plus.
I was watching my phone. It's terrible. Last weekend I was
here we go.
Planting plants in my yard, listening to the audio of Vulcan and Paul Craig.
Okay, guys.